Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. Hello, it's Emmy. Welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh, the food delivery service that brings food right to your doorstep. Get started with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first box. Head over to HelloFresh.com and use the code Emmy80. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now today, I'm going to be taste testing these. And these are Samyang's hot and spicy chicken flavored gyoza dumplings. I've been looking for these for months. It's been about 8 months. I believe they came out last year. Many of you told me about them, but I wasn't able to find them, but I did yesterday. So these are frozen hot and spicy dumplings. I believe the flavoring based on the branding is going to be very similar to the fire noodles that we all know and love. If you haven't seen my taste testing of all the Samyang flavored noodles, be sure to check that out. And while I was perusing the aisles at the market, I thought, why not make my own version? Because these were really hard for me to find. And if the DIY version tastes just as good, then you guys don't have to find these. You can make them with your own noodles. So I picked up some gyoza wrappers and I'm going to attempt to take this and transform it into this. Wish me luck. And then I also picked up this, which I had never seen before. This is the Samyang flavored sausage. I'm going to put these back in the fridge because we just need to fry them up, but I like to cook my gyozas in the frozen state, so I'm going to put them back in the refrigerator. La la la! In the freezer, okay? Try not to knock over your tripod. Okay, good. So first things first, we're going to open this thing. And we'll take out our packets. There are 2 of them, and there are the beautiful noodles inside. And it's a nice big fat puck of them right there. It's gonna take boiling water, cover the noodles. So while that's cooking, let's taste the sausages. And we're just gonna open the package, and here they are. Look a lot like hot dogs. They actually don't smell like much. They smell a little bit of chili, but they don't smell fishy at all. Wow, this off, and then it peels the plastic. Oh, that didn't work. That's not satisfying at all. Oh, let's try that again. Okay, now it's happening. Pull that off, that's working. And then you just denude the sausage. Oh, it splits right down the seam. Okay, that's much better. Very flexible, as you can see, and thinner than a typical hot dog, but about the same length. Oh, now you can smell the seafood. Let's cut it and see what it looks like inside. Oh, looks exactly the same as it does on the outside. There are little flecks of something in there. Not sure what that is. Itadakimasu. It actually tastes a lot like imitation crab sticks. It definitely has a strong kind of fishy flavor to it, but there's a good amount of heat, which kind of compensates for that. And the texture is very homogenous, not really chewy, but a little bit rubbery. It tastes a lot like those dried cuttlefish snacks. At any rate, not bad. So what I'm going to do next is chop this up so we can add these to our dumpling mixture. So we're back with our noodles. There are 3 holes here that you can just puncture. Now we're going to add our seasoning packet. And then the top. Yeah. That's spicy. And that looks beautiful already. So I'm gonna take my scissors and chop my noodles up so they're more manageable, and hence we can use this to fill our gyoza. Now we're gonna add our sausage. Try not to get them to go everywhere like I did. So I've got myself some gyoza wrappers or wonton wrappers. So I like using just a slightly dampened paper towel and keep them covered so they don't dry out. We're gonna take a wrapper, put a little bit of water around the edge here. We're gonna just take a little bit of our stuffing. We're just gonna go like this. Like that. Now these are what the Samyang dumplings look like. Oh, the pleat's much simpler. And immediately I smell cabbage. These only have 2 pleats. Samyang, and these are the homemade. I've got a cast iron skillet here, but you can also do this in a stainless steel pan. You want it to get pretty hot. We're gonna use a neutral flavored oil. I'm just using sunflower oil. I'm gonna put about a good tablespoon of that. Swizzle that around. And now we're gonna lay our gyozas in a row into the hot pan. So while the gyozas are frying up, let me tell you a little bit more about HelloFresh. So HelloFresh brings simple recipes right to your doorstep, pre-measured ingredients in a great insulated box. Everything you need comes in the box, and you can choose between different meal plans. You can customize between classic, family, or vegetarian. It's super easy and super simple. It's a great way to get yourself out of recipe ruts. And the HelloFresh meals start at $6.99 per serving. So the meals are really simple and easy to put together. They come with very clear instructions on recipe cards that have the instructions laid out in 6 easy steps. And they are designed to use 1 or 2 pots, so cleanup is a breeze, and total cooking time is about 30 minutes, which is absolutely wonderful. And my kids love to help too, and this week their favorite meal was the cheesy corn tostadas. Super fun to put together and to eat. So get started with HelloFresh with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first box. Head over to HelloFresh.com and use the code EMMY80. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now let's check on the gyozas. Once they start getting golden brown on the bottom like this, you can just lift them up and see that they're getting nice and golden brown. We're gonna add a couple tablespoons of water and then quickly cover it. And that's gonna steam them up and finish cooking the frozen gyoza on the inside. Alrighty, so my gyoza are looking absolutely delicious, nice and golden on the bottom. This is the store-bought version and this is the homemade version. Let me turn them over so you can see what they look like on the top. And because I have a few more pleats on the homemade version, I think those look a little bit more charming. Although the homemade version cooked a little bit faster because they were not frozen in the center. Alrighty, so let's give these a taste. I'm gonna try the original first. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Not right now, I'm dumpling. Those are delicious. So the filling is not, of course, noodles at all. The flavoring is very similar to the original Samyang noodle. Fiery, hot, sweet, and savory, with the addition of a little bit of onion in there, kind of a chivy flavor, and the texture is a little bit like ground meat, but as we know that this contains tofu rather than meat. Absolutely delicious. The bottom has a nice crisp texture to it. The tops are chewy. The fieriness is hot, but not uncomfortably so, not at all. In fact, I think the fire noodles are much more uncomfortable in terms of just the level of heat. These are really, really easy and palatable, especially if you're not into hot things or you're just not used to having them. That's delicious. It's just basically like a vegetarian gyoza with some of that Samyang spicy noodle sauce on it. Now let's compare that with the homemade version. Now these are a little bit plumper. They did expand a little bit in cooking, but let's give these a go. Here we go. Very starchy. The outside of the wonton wrapper is quite nice. There's a nice chew to it. You've got that crisp bottom, but the inside is very starchy. It's a little bit dry. Great Samyang flavor, but the original is actually much better. The filling is looser. It's more moist. This needs a little bit more fat. I think if this had a little bit of ground meat in it, some chive I think would actually be really nice, a little bit of green onion, and something to make it a little less starchy. Right now it's just a starch ball. Granted, a very tasty, spicy starch ball. It just doesn't have as nice of a mouthfeel as the first one. But these are actually spicier than the original, much spicier than the original. In terms of flavor, they're actually pretty good. I almost forgot to mention that we did add some protein to the DIY version, but it just really wasn't present and kind of just got lost with all the noodle. Alrighty, so there you have it, the Samyang gyozas versus the DIY Samyang gyozas, and I'd have to say the original one. But you wouldn't have to tweak the DIY one too much to actually get onto the same level because they are pretty tasty. Alrighty, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Get started with HelloFresh with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first month. Head over to HelloFresh.com and use the code Emmy80. Share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!